Hello everyone. This is going to be a very basic kind of nothing fancy, no crazy editing, just kind of raw series on how to use Premiere. Um, this is going to be kind of going over the basics. I'll also go over some of the issues that you tend to face in Premiere and how you can overcome them. I've got some of my projects up here for the editing that I do outside of class. But we're going to start with just going over what everything is on here. And it's essentially down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 separate windows here. 6 really is ones you only need to look at, but we'll talk about this one another time. So let's talk about what we can actually see. So this first window that we're going to look at is this one here. This is the one that you're going to be looking at the most. This is your preview of everything that you have edited. So on this screen here, if I just kind of scroll through this timeline, you'll be able to see everything that I'm editing. And that includes over here, if I've stacked things up, such as graphics and titles that I've added, all of that will play here, okay? If I press play, which I won't do, just because the audio will cut in and probably scare you, this is where I can kind of play through and I can listen through it. Now, there's lots of tools here and we can add even more if we wanted to, but we're not going to worry about that. We're going to keep it as the defaults for now. I can track along my video here, as you can see. And this just allows me to kind of watch. It'll give me a timestamp here, which I'll explain how this is made in a second. I can also change how much I've zoomed in, but we'll kind of come back to this one. This here is your actual timeline. Now, I'm going to show you how we edit on this timeline and how stacking things up works, how we can kind of hide tracks, how we can solo audio tracks so we can focus on just one thing at a time. But this is basically your canvas for where all of your editing is going to take place. So we can track along using this bar here, and you'll see it's got the timestamps up the top, so you can see exactly where you are. Here you'll see that we have V, which basically means video tracks, and that includes if it's just a picture or text, it will class it as a video track. We also have our audio down here. Now you can just keep adding these and adding these and adding these. You can see I've got like 6 layers of video here, have something like 7 layers of audio, and that's usually because I'm layering up audio, music, sound effects, all those sort of things. Okay. Again, you can see the timestamp here. This can make it a little bit easier if you're looking for a particular moment. We have some other settings here. Again, I can kind of go through these. I'll be honest, the only one that you're probably really going to be turning off and on is this magnet, which is the snap. And I'll show you what that does in another video. Here are our tools for the timeline. Again, there's only a few that you're probably going to actually use, if I'm being honest. It'll be the selection tool, the rate stretch or speed ramping tool, the razor, maybe the shapes, and probably the text. Okay. Again, we'll go through that another time. Over here, this is our project bin, and this is where we can find all of the files that we've imported, and this will be anything you add. So these ones here, you can kind of see the little logo. It looks like a couple of tracks with a bar in the middle. Those are sequences, and that is basically what these things are. So all of these tabs are different edits that I'm currently working on, okay? Now, each of these, if I was to double click, would open up over here. I've got them all open at the moment, but that's what they all are. Down here, you'll see you have these ones that kind of have the video kind of film reel stuff and then the waveform. That means that there is video and audio there. Okay. Also in here, you can access things like the media browser. I'll be honest, I don't really use this. I just use the file finder, the actual file explorer, and then I drag and drop in. But we'll go over that in another session. I don't really use that, to be honest. This one here, you will be using quite a lot. These are all your effects, such as transitions, video effects, audio, and there's tons of these to go through. Lots of color grading stuff in there. And that is pretty much all you'll probably use, to be honest with you, is that tab and this tab. I'm not going to show you things that we're probably not going to use right now. Up here, this is our preview window and also where we can find our effect controls, which I'll be showing you how we use, and also all of our audio controls, as well as things like text controls when we start playing around with graphics and things like that. If I double click on a video here, you can see that I've opened up the video that I'm editing. And that just allows me to kind of scrub through, see what I want. I can pick what I want from within this video. So you can see here, I've kind of selected a little section out. And that means that I only take that part that I've selected. It makes it a lot easier rather than dragging the whole video on, trying to cut bits out and get rid of what you don't need. Just put what you need in. Again, I'll be showing you how we do this in another video. As well as this, if I have something with effects on it, so if I was to take over here, one of these graphics, if I go up to the effect controls tab, you can see here everything that I've got on there, such as any keyframes, which again is another session on its own. But for things like where it is, how big it is, if it's rotated at all, where the center of it is, opacity of it, and all of that. So you can see here, I've got some keyframes here, and I'll just quickly show you what a keyframe is. It's all to do with animation. So that's kind of the main things you need up here. The other thing you might look at is the audio mixer. Again, we'll look at that in another session. Metadata, I very much doubt you're going to look at, to be honest with you. That's kind of it. The source there is that. So there's a few problems that you might face as you kind of go through and edit, and 90% of those issues come down to this window here, and that is usually that something is gone or it isn't loaded. Again, it's something that I'll kind of deliberately mess up and show you to show you how to fix it. So up the top here, obviously we have all of our settings, kind of just our program settings and what have you. There are some things we're going to be looking at, such as within sequence, graphics and titles. But again, we'll look at those another time. All our tools to export are up here as well as import. But for the most part, you're going to be on edit. If for whatever reason your window doesn't look like this, first thing to check is which editing mode you're actually on. So when you open up Premiere, and I'll do another session in a moment on how we kind of start a project and all of that, you'll see that up here, got this little window of a blue dot. It's called Workspaces. If I click on that, see I've got all these different layouts, and basically they're all set up for different things. So effects, if I click on that, all the effects will pop up in a window over here. If I'm doing captions and graphics, again, I'll get all the text tools pop up here. That's where I can do things like credit rolls and what have you. So if I was to go to here, just to show you that sort of stuff. Okay. That is pretty much it for the kind of layout. The last one that I said I'll talk to you about is this one down here. That's just to keep an eye on. That is for your audio. So as we kind of play audio, I'll just play a little section. You keep an eye on this bottom right corner. See that you'll get bars going up.
When we interact with it, we're doing show container for the inventory system.
So this is basically telling you your volume. green is good, yellow is not terrible, red is bad. But I'll talk about that again in another video. That is the basic layout of Premiere. In the next video, what we're going to look at is how do we actually kind of get to this point? How do we set up a sequence? How do we get the settings right for what we're doing? And kind of get the basics of editing down.